again, everyone and every pony. Welcome once again to Fandom Fridays, where today we will be looking at something special. You see, recently I've been on a bit of a Buffy mood, and a Sailor Moon mood. Okay, it's a lie. Always, like, 50% of the time in a good Sailor Moon mood, and the other 120% of the time in a pony mood, and at least 400% of the time in a One Piece mood. But I digress. But I was thinking about doing a bad Sailor Moon fic and do another Von Doom fic, since all you guys seem to enjoy listening to me in pain! But I realized that I can't really do that because, well, after the C-Rock fanfic, I was already sitting through a bad fanfic recently. So instead, I figured, how can I combine both my Sailor Moon mood, since the new episode of Crystal's coming out, and the Buffy mood that I've been in? I got it. Find a good crossover. And come to find out, on fanfiction.net, Buffy is like the third most crossover thing on the planet. Supernatural is in second place, and in first place, well, who begins rejoice? Apparently, we have the most crossover-centric character ever. Maybe one of these days I'll actually do a Doctor Who crossover fic. That way all of you can hear my lovely British accents. All 13 of them. Yes, I individualized my doctors. But for right now, let us discuss Buffy and Sailor Moon. Now, I should warn you, this is the first time, I've only been watching at least 7 episodes of Buffy so far. So, for a lot of these characters, especially when it comes to Spike and Buffy herself, this is going to be the first time I'll ever do these characters. So, if it sounds like I'm trying to find a voice for these, or trying to figure out how I'm going to sound for them, it's because I want to try to find my particular voice for each one of these characters. Especially since I've only seen a few episodes. Now, you might notice that my Madame Raz and Cal voice last week were pretty cool. That's because I'm used to watching those episodes, and by now I already have them down pat in my head. I already know what Cal sounded like, so he needed to sound like this. Ooh, the Horde just wouldn't like the way you're acting, Bo. And of course, Madame Raz, oh dearie my, see, those voices are easy, but since I haven't watched that much Buffy, it's kind of hard for me to get their voices. This is different as opposed to watching me read Supernatural, since I've been watching a lot lately, or watching The Doctor, since I've watched most of the modern Doctor Who series. Which also means that if you guys got lucky and I was reading a Doctor Who fanfic, you get to hear my Dalek voice. So, sit back and relax, people, as we here at the Treeberry Memorial Bookstore is proud to present a Sailor Moon and Buffy crossover. Enjoy. The Swap by NCIS Ducky. A Buffy and Sailor Moon crossover fic. Cordelia stands in front of Anya, fuming about how terrible her look had become. I wish Buffy Summers never came to Sunnydale! Screw it! I wish she was never born! Anya smiles wickedly. Her smooth face turns into a veiny one of a demon. Wish granted. What? Cordelia squeals, not expecting anything. She backs away from the demon as she's become accustomed to do. Serena! Wait, Serena? Oh gods, it's the dub names. Oh well, I should become used to it by now. Besides, not too bad. Serena Tsukiko roams the streets of Dubon's shopping area, a frown set in her pale face. Her blonde buns atop her head bounce with every step. She can't help but think about Darian, the one true love of her life. They had only started to go out when, poof, he no longer loved her. A tear silently falls from her blue eyes as he hastily wipes it away. Damn you, Darian! Why did you do this to me? As he continues down the street, unaware of a glimmer glowing in the sky, it grows until its brightness reaches blindness. Serena stops, covering her eyes. What the hell? Could you be the new enemies? Her heart plummets. At this point, even the scouts were mad at her for her foolishness. There would be no one to save her. Nervously, Serena clutches the brooch to her chest. Moon Crystal Power! Light up! But it is too late. The light takes her from the country she has grown ever so fond of. I don't know about that, Xander. I don't think Cordy hates you that much. Buffy Summer sympathizes with her brunette friend. She gives a wicked smile to her best friend next to her, the red-headed Willow Rosenberg. Not as much as she hates you, Will. Will's green eyes widen with surprise. You don't mean that. You never know. Buffy shrugs, noticing something off in the atmosphere around her. Buffy whips her head around. Too early in the day for a vampire. Maybe a demon? A school ground? The blonde rolls her eyes and turns back to her friends. But they aren't there. Hell, she isn't even in Sunnydale anymore. Her hazel eyes scan Japanese characters around her, and her heart sinks. She's in Japan. And cue Buffy opening music. Landing with a groan, Serena looks around her body. Her sailor uniform is replaced with a deep navy miniskirt and white blouse. What the hell? She mutters before her hand flies to her mouth. That is Japanese spilling from her lips. It's English. What the hell? She orates. She stands up on her feet and studies the surroundings. A mainly concrete building encases the grove she stands in. Multiple signs proclaiming day dates where the most fun is Sunnydale catch her eye, and she finds herself wandering into the building. Inside, the white linoleum is highly scuffed, and instantly another blonde, Harmony, a friend of Cornelia's, come rushing towards her. Oh my gosh, Serena, it's getting too late to be out in the grove. You're supposed to be in the gym for cheerleading. The blonde links arms with Serena and pulls her in a different direction. Why is it too late? It seems like the perfect time, Serena thinks to herself, but when the girl mentions cheerleading, her heart drops. There is a reason she isn't on the cheer team in Japan. The batons always end up whacking someone in the face, most notably her. Whacking in the face, Serena tries to ignore the pang of sadness that falls over her. It reminds her of Darian, something she does not want to be thinking about so soon after he broke up with her. Actually, it was 2 weeks, but it felt like 2 years. Her heart was broken in two, after all. Hearts take many more years to mend. As the girl pulls her into what seems to be the gym, Serena lets out a silent sigh of relief. American cheerleading is much different than the complicated sport in Japan. No batons in sight. And you know, after watching Lucky Star, I'm going to doubt that last sentence. I just might like it here, Serena whispers to herself. Maybe she could get over the love of her life, no longer loving her. Harmony looks over her shoulder at Serena. What? Serena smiles. Nothing. Nothing at all. Buffy lands with a thump on the concrete where Serena was taken from. Well, was that so new? She stops. Oh God. But it didn't come out in English. Instead, to the public around her heard, Oh, Kai-sama. She's no longer speaking English, but Japanese. Pushing herself up, she steps into one of the nearest public buildings. Sliding doors open and finds herself in an arcade. The Crown Arcade, to be precise. A blond man behind the counter looks up and sighs while he sees Buffy. Damn, I thought it was poor Serena. Curse Darian. She probably won't be back here for he tainted it. Puzzlement fell over to the vampire slayer as he approached the counter with her eyes wide. Who's this Serena? She asked, her voice soft. She doesn't trust the Japanese that falls out of her mouth. Her friends back home are practically as crude as it can come. The man looks at her, bewildered. Just a friend of mine. Her boyfriend broke up with her. Destroyed her heart and happy-go-lucky emotion with it. Kuzutai. The last word mean bastard is hushed, as if the man can't believe it himself. I'm Andrew, by the way. I don't believe you've been here before? He says with a smile. Buffy instantly returns to smile. Nobody's this nice as Sunnydale, she thinks to herself sadly. He continues to smile, and sliding the doors open behind him. always finding a replacement for Rita, I see, a joking voice says as he approaches. Andrew's face hardens and Buffy turns. Darian. He greets coldly. Buffy put it together in that shared moment that this Darian is the man who broke Serena's heart. But there was a tense aura in the room that tells her the reason was not entirely natural, and Buffy was going to get to the bottom of it. As the practice of shouting and high-kicking, something Serena excels in, ends, Serena finds herself wandering mindlessly into the now dark Sunnydale. The streets are noticeably deserted, and Serena finds herself thinking of Japan. She wonders if anyone misses her, or if they are happy she is nowhere to be found. She also finds herself missing the simpler days, upon where she was a dire part of the sailor team, where she could pine a tuxedo mask and get chastised by Luna for it. Hell, she managed being called Meatball Head by what used to be her worst enemy, her boyfriend, and now her ex. He is a complex creature, dumping her out of the blue, but she's determined to get over it in this new place. Speaking of Meatball Head, she wondered why nobody here questioned her odd hairstyle. Her hand stays up and feels her head. No buns, just simple pigtails. There goes her personal style. Americanized Serena, in her mind, seems more like the girl Darian would want, she hopes that with her now tearful heart. Allowing her feet to travel her own accord, Serena finds herself in an alley outside a club proclaimed as the Bronze. Her blue eyes looking into the open door. The sight frightens her. Human bodies are splayed across food tables. Patrons of the bar have their faces much too bumpy to be human, and fangs flash from their laughing mouths. Vampires. Something Serena isn't quite educated in. There are no vampires in... Okay, I'm just going to go with the cinema logic and just say, okay, there are no vampires in Japan. Oi, you don't want to be in there, pets. You should know that. A voice heavily laced with a British Cockney accent taunts from behind. Serena looks around, and her blue eyes meet a pair of cobalt ones set in a strong, chiseled face with which bleached hot hair is adorned. Sorry. Girls! I like girls! Who are you? The name's Spike, but I don't expect you to know that. He gives her a hard glare. You're not from here. But then again, neither am I. He starts to circle the natural blonde with great intensity. I suppose you don't know what happened to Bummy Stuya. Her face crumples into one confusion. Buffy? He smiles with a fond memory. Yeah, Buffy. A cute blonde pain in my ass. One minute I feel her in the city, the next, poof. And the calamity of vampires reigning begins. Serena arches her eyebrow. So this town wasn't like this before? Nah, I was the only big bad around these parts. Slayer killed the rest. But nobody remembers her. They're all back. With a vengeance. His eyes sparkle as he tells the story. Smirking, Serena gives him a once-over with her eyes. You love her. She states matter-of-factly. Bewildered, Spike sighs. I suppose I do fancy the Slayer, he grimaces. But if you were a man and a vampire, you love her too. But no, she's got the poofier angel as a suite. Some make her fall for you. Serena's happy to be able to use her underused matchmaking skills, and anything to get him off her mind is a good thing. She's unfazed about him being a vampire. In all reality, she figures if there are vampires, there have to be good ones. Not that she knows Spike's a bad apple. Spike smiles, glowing like a liking on the girl. Easier said than done, pet. I'll help you. Hours and hours pass in the Jubon area as Buffy watches Darian sit in silence in the corner of the arcade. Andrew left for home at this point, and Buffy bid her goodbyes. Being arrogant of the fact herself, she found a message she wouldn't be in town for long. As soon as she found a way to put Serena and Darian back together, Buffy plans on finding a way home, one way or another. The time progresses closer to closing rather quickly, and by the time Buffy figures out exactly what to say, the arcade closes in a matter of 20 minutes. Buffy pushes her body off from the stool as she sits at and approaches the dark-haired man. Darian? Her voice is soft, questioning. The last thing she wants to do is scare him away. He doesn't even look up before responding with a gruff, "Go away." But Buffy doesn't simply leave from a challenge. "Darian, I'm not going to leave." He looks up, annoyed. His midnight blue eyes sparkle with tears he forgets to wipe away. "What the hell do you want? If Andrew sent you here, I don't want to hear it." Pure hatred emits from his glare at Buffy smiles. "I wanted to ask you about Serena." He laughs sadistically and lifts down his hands. "Serena, where do I begin? Klutz, ditzy, loud." A single tear falls into his right hand. She has the stupidest hairstyle ever. 2 meatballs on top of her head. Pity shoots through Buffy's heart. He still cares, but something is keeping him from her in his arms. When Buffy lived in Los Angeles, she was notorious for solving the problems of love with others. Too bad she couldn't save any of her own relationships, or admit feelings for the ones she shall not think of. You love her. "I broke up with her, you baka!" If Buffy is one thing, it is not an idiot. She purses her lips. "I heard that, but I know you still love her." Darian looks up, tears filling across his cheeks. "But I can't love her. She can't die because of me." Her ears perk up, and lifts his crying figure over. "Why should she die? You can do to keep her safe, right?" He tenses and looks at Buffy with a questioning gaze. "How do you know that? Nobody in the country knows that." "I know a lot of things. I'm not from here, you know." Buffy can tell this man isn't as it seems. He has a secret past he keeps hidden as he plans to get to the bottom of it. She slips into the booth across from him and leans back. "I'm from California. I'm human, but special. Like you. I've also died." She studies him, looking deep into his eyes. "You have too. Twice, I believe." Darian continues to look at the woman in front of him with great intrigue. Nobody except the scouts and him knew of his past. This woman is charismatic and almost all-knowing. "Serena would have loved you." "Would have?" Buffy asks. She cannot comprehend how she could have been, has been so soon. Things according to her small talk with Andrew. The couple broke up 2 weeks ago. He nods. "I haven't been able to feel her for the past few hours. It's as if she's dropped off the planet." "So you're telling me you're once upon?" Spike asks, not entirely convinced with Serena's attempts on telling him where she came from. To him, it's all a bit of baloney made up so he can get close to the Slayer. A middle schooler turns into a defender of justice? Serena lets out a meek nod, not sure anymore if this vampire was a good guy. Something is off about him, like when Nephrite would go in public. Hot, but eerily distant. He nods, clearly thinking of something. "It's a bit faulty if you ask me," he says barely. His blue eyes stare into Serena's and he rolls his eyes. "But I'll believe you if you say you could get me the Slayer." She lets out a sigh of relief and bows her head. "Thank you." Not being able to shake the tradition of bowing Japan, she looks quite odd in the eyes of Spike. She raises her head slyly and folds her hands in her lap. "So, what is this Buffy like?" "Tall, dark, and broody," he mutters angrily. No matter what he does, he can't figure out what is so damn interesting with Angel. True, he has a soul, but he loses it with the dirty deed. And when he's soulless, he's worse than Mr. Big Bad Spike himself. He watches as Serena arches her naturally blonde eyebrow and he smirks with amusement. "I'm talking about her boyfriend, the Poofa without soul." Serena chucks in amusement. She's forgotten the fact that vampires don't have souls. "Are you jealous he has a soul?" "Not really likely," he scoffs. "That soul was a punishment. There's no way I want to be confined by a soul that could be easily removed." "Stop making me like you, Spike, even in a fanfic." They sit in silence as the gears of Serena's head turn. Spike attempts to keep a neutral face, as if achieving the heart of his beloved is the last thing on his to-do list. He fails, as Serena thinks of a plan. Her mind wanders to Darian back home. She cringes before continuing her need to set this Spike with his Buffy. "Have you tried being nice to her?" He smiles in remembrance. I helped us save the world a few months ago. That was fun, in my opinion. She nods. What was the last compliment you paid her? Spike's smile fades, and his face goes grim. Moments pass, and pass. You got me there, love. He hasn't exactly been the nicest person. Buffy hardly tolerates him, and now, even less. The whole kidnapping Red was a drunk mistake. Biggest mistake of his whole undead existence. He cringes when he remembers the fact that Buffy and the Poofer are trying to make it as friends. And what's with this whole love thing? Serena demands, not amused by the simple British pet name. Every time she even thinks of love, and how it's supposed to last forever, she pales and her heart jumps from a skyscraper. Stupid Darian, his stupid evasiveness and why he doesn't love her, and why he loves the brat under the name Rainey. Well, the later was an assumption, but it still hurt nonetheless. Spike laughs. It's better saying nothing more. He remembers when he called Buffy loved. She despised it. You know, the Slayer would have liked you. And he means the last comment with all his being. Buffy likes spunk and strong-willed persona in a person. Serena has just that, no matter if she claims to be a superhero. Serena gave the vampire a warm smile. Glad I'm liked somewhere. She deadpans. Her mind flickers to her so-called friends back in Japan, and her cerulean eyes filled with tears. Stupid girls, she murmurs under her breath. The bleak swan tilts his head quizzically. What's the matter, pet? Serena burlesque shakes her head, not wanting to talk about the woes of her own heart, but Spike persists. You helped me. Now it's time for me to help you. What? He nods and gives the girl a genuine smile. The first smile he gave in a long time. We're friends now, and I want to help. Dr. William the Bloody is here to help. Serena laughs. William the Bloody? Sounds like a game-given name. She starts to really relax. Starts to really trust Spike, the love-struck vampire. She sits back, lamenting on the reality she left. It all started with a little demon child who fell from the sky. There's no way in hell what you're telling me is true. This is Japan, home of Yomas with no apparent origin, not vampires with bloodlust. Yes, Mama John. Yomas, droids, fetching your daughters for the future, time travel, Deathbusters, evil invading queens from this is part of the galaxy. All of those make sense. Oh, and reincarnation. Vampires? Completely out of left field. Right, Mama Chan. Brilliant. A few patrons of the arcade turn to curiosity, but he just lowers his head in shame. Sorry. Buffy laughs. It shouldn't be possible for either of us to have died and lived to see the day, but it happens. Thank you, Buffy! She takes a look at Darian, her lips playing at a smile. And I know you've got your own little fancy secret, like my vampire story. Something with a backbone. With your Serena? Her hazel eyes meet his guilty blue ones, and her smile broadens. Still. Darian shakes his head, stubborn. There is no way himself in a tuxedo could beat saving the world. That's Serena's job. I'm just normal. That's a load of crap! Actually, Buffy, I'm on his side. She still doesn't let up. Fine, I won't help you find Serena. She pulls herself out of the booth and heads towards the glass sliding doors. She almost makes it to the street when Darian catches his arm. He breathes heavily, his eyes shining with the terror that he might lose Serena forever. I protect Serena. She's a defender of justice along with her friends. But none of them have been getting along. He looks away nervously when he finishes talking. The blonde nods. See? That wasn't hard, was it? She starts to tug at the dark-haired man in the direction where her eyes see a park. Perfect for talking. He doesn't know the history of the Jubon area park. And someone has a plan of letting her know the park's M.O. I guess not. Darian mumbles weakly. He just explained his whole sad, pathetic existence in a matter of 3 sentences. No arguments there, Mama Chan. They walked a few more meters before he stops dead cold. His body frigid, his blood running cold. Not now, he whispers to himself. Sailor Moon isn't even here. How the hell were the scouts supposed to defeat the thing without Moon's halation? Buffy turns around, not happy to stopped. What's wrong? I told you we're going to find a way to get Serena back. Her words dripping with worry and emotion she doesn't typically let shine through. The dark-haired man takes a deep breath and looks at Buffy. There's Yoma here. His words come out in staccato. He's terrified of what's to come without Serena. He gives her a dead serious glance. I think it's best if you run. And you think your boyfriend loves this little girl more than you? Spike asked, incredulous. He bursts out in a cackle as Serena nods meekly. Not bleeding likely, love. Serena sniffs hopefully. You really think so? Her eyes flash to the memory of Darian's and her own first kiss together. She grins into reminiscing, and her once dull sadness with eyes clear with hope. Spike regains his tough guy composure and gives a serious look. Of course I'm serious. I didn't have to want to kill for this woman, and I think this Darian fellow is pretty damn close if he broke up with you. Seems he doesn't want to commit murder. Every word that spills from the vampire's lips comes out of his arse, and Serena is eating it right up. That's the first sign of free murder. Denial. The natural blonde grins. Thank you, Spike. You really cheered me up. Now that I'm not battling mess, my friends might... She notices that Spike tenses up in the middle of her spiel. What's wrong? Cheerfulness is replaced with a worry as a tingle prickles at the back of her neck. Her blood runs cold. What's behind me? The bleached blonde gives her a grey look. A vampire. Darian hardly got his words out before Buffy whips her head in the direction of the park. Damn! She mutters, before sprinting towards the almost direction. He tries to reach out and stops her, but she's too fast for his own inhuman speed. Signing defeat, he ducks into a nearby alley and dons his tuxedo before following suit. He's going into this battle with only a woman who claims to slay vampires. With no way to alert the scouts, no matter how pissed they were at him, he flies into the trees of a war zone. Buffy is handling herself extremely well with her customary hand-to-hand combat. The human Yoma is a deep purple with woman-esque features. Symbols of metallic silver cover her body except for the protruding talons at her fingertips. The slayers move quickly, fluidly, until the foreign claw pierces her forearm, apparently coated with poison. Managing a weak roundhouse kick, Buffy collapses in pain. Ah! Rose! A rose flies from Darian's fingertips, stopping Yoma short of a fatal blow. To find the meaning of love, one must die at least once. This girl already knows the true meaning of love. She is of no use to kill. He jumps into the clearing, his cape firing behind him. I am your opponent. He extends his cane and moves to a defensive position. This girl knows the true meaning of love? Darian's words echo in Buffy's head. Does he really know love? Or is that just a lie she sells herself? Her mind shows a vision of her and Angel, then her alone in tears. Now, Angel cackling evilly. They have been together through good and evil, through thick and thin. If loving somebody for the mere idea of a Prince Charming, the perfect idea, the greater population is screwed over. This would insinuate true love has never and will never exist on the planet. What she has with Angel is not love. She's only in love with the idea. As she makes the realization, her heart stops. If not Angel, then whom? She ignores the pain shooting up her arm and opens her heart. An image begins to form as she gasps, "No!" She breathes, clearly upset with the choices of her heart. Her scream hardly escapes her mouth before Serena is forced into a headlock by the offending vamp. The monster carefully removes his hands, securing one around her waist, the other brushing her hair away from her neck. Serena shuts her mouth and closes her eyes tightly, bracing herself for death. Guess she couldn't make amends with Darian. But the bite never comes. The steel arm around her waist jerks away, and the blonde spy flies forward. "You traitor!" A feral voice hisses. She whips her head around to find Spike, squaring off against the offender. Misses her chance. Serena takes a deep breath for reassurance and clutches the brooch at her chest. "Moon! Crystal! Power! Lay up!" She prays with all her heart that her mother from the moon, Queen Serenity of the Silver Millennium, will grant Serena her power away from Japan. Instantaneously, a shower of pink ribbons encased her body. Her white blouse and miniskirt transform her into her normal sailor outfit, and her boots and gloves appear on her respective body parts. The only difference is her golden tiara, which normally encases her head, sits wrinkly atop her head. Hey! Blood breath! She beckons, causing the vampire to cease attack on Spike. I can't fathom you killing anybody any longer! Can you what? Osagilkia? And now, in English, in the name of the moon, I shall punish you! Her infamous speech spills easily from her lips, and her face shines with determination and confidence, traits Serena seldom shows off. Spike is taken in awe at the girl he befriended. Bloody hell! He breathes. I would never believe she told the truth! He watches as the vampire scoffs at Serena. Who do you think you are? Slayer? It taunts, smiling evilly. Serena smiles right back, knowing where the monster was going. No! I'm the champion of justice! Sailor Moon! Consider yourself moon-justed. The fan stares at Serena blankly, not understanding in the slightest. Even Spike, the over-excessive talker, is less speechless. The Sailor Scout's smile broadened as he grasps her tiara. She knows the vampire lends at least a little bit, and her recent attack would simply not stand a chance. Moon! Tiara! Action! The golden object flies through the evil vampire, severing its neck in the process. The monster's body disintegrates, and a tiara appears on Serena's head. Loud clapping protrudes the area. That was brilliant, bloody brilliant, Spike exclaims. Are you sure you're not a Slayer? I'm sure. And this fanfic wins points with me in the rating booth, people. I can't begin to tell you how many times I come across a Sailor Moon crossover fic, and by now, Usagi would be on the ground being in a bloody mess, and Spike would be showing off his awesomeness. But nope, Usagi just took down a vampire. Winchester style. Boo, freaking yeah. Thank you, Miss Authoress. Or author. No, really now. Spike. Buffy tries to shake the vampire's face out of her mind with no avail. It's not possible, she thinks, struggling with the idea. How could an evil vampire be the object of her desires? She tries to come up with logic, but her thoughts are interrupted by a shout of pain. Her head shoots up, the pain in her arm completely forgotten. Darius caught in a chokehold. And time to Mama-chan's getting kidnapped was at least 2 paragraphs. Record. She watches the terror as his face begins to lose color. She pushes herself up and sees behind the purple creature. Buffy goes over her brain, searching for a martial arts move suitable for achieving the chokehold to loosen. She gives up and kicks the back of the legs, cries out in pain, and Darian escapes his death grip. The Slayer moves quickly with a roundhouse kick, recuperates, then proceeds to kick it again when it hits the ground, stepping on the monster's talons. Buffy grins as he hears the satisfying crack of long nails. That's what you get when you try to kill a friend of mine! She kicks it in the face. That's what you get for scratching my arm! Mars! Firebird! Strike! Jupiter! Thunder Dragon! Crescent! The beam! Shower! Shine! Aqua! Illusion! The attacks of fire, electricity, light, and ice cause Buffy to jump up, barely missing the attacks. The Oma crumbles under the attack. Sorry, got something in my mouth. Screaming as it writhes in pain. The combination they have never attempted before causes the monster to disintegrate. So you found a replacement for Serena, huh, Tuxie? A purple-eyed girl, Sailor Mars smiles slyly. Haven't you caused enough heartbreak around here? Darian's previously calm stature instantly changes. She's not my girlfriend, Ray. He strides over to Buffy. This is Buffy Summers. She's helping me about Serena. Bullshit! Leah, the scout dressed in green suit, shouts back. I know damn well you hate Serena. You always have. This is all a game for you. Buffy looks at the angry girls, and her eyes widen involuntarily. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help. I have a theory. It's a demon. It's the blue-haired girl, Dawn, in blue glasses, lashes out. Shut up, you slut. You know, Vic, you're doing okay. But there's some things I will not have Ami Mizuno read. So I'm not going to do it. No. Okay. I'll do it. Just this once. But you try telling me how silly and ridiculous it sounds doing this with my Ami voice. Ahem. Shut up, you slut! She realizes what she said and her hand flies to her mouth. I'm sorry. She squeaks out. I'm just... That was probably the third biggest OOC moment I have ever seen in the history of fanfiction. Number two is a Doom fanfic, and number one is anything I've written back when I was younger. The blonde in the group, dressed in orange, smiles and pats the girl's back. No need to apologize, Ames. She totally deserved it. I'm sorry, but you have no right to speak about me like you are doing, Buffy exclaims hotly. Her hazel eyes flash a lingering green. I've been through a hell of a day, with being taken out of California and ending up here, and all you girls think is I'm some whore trying to take advantage of your prince? The girls gasp in unison. How do you know about Mamoru? Mina, the orange soldier demands. Nobody except us knows that. That's not the point! Buffy shouts. The girls go silent. Someone was trying to get into Darius' mind as succeeded. It's all okay now. She sees the blonde vampire back home, realizes he does indeed feel at least something that isn't hate towards him. It's all okay now. A man by the name of Giles pulls a woman into his apartment. She's clearly struggling, but his years of vampire slaying without the slayer built his muscle and gave him the upper hand over the demon. How do I turn this back into the real world? I have no idea what you're talking about. Anya deadpans, her eyes telling the story. They glance down to the jewel around her neck at lightning speed. This is the real world. Giles caught her accent. He snatches the necklace, terror crossing the demon's face. Cordelia told me what happened. Now I can turn this back. Anya smiles wickedly. How do you know it's any better than this wonderful world? His grim face as he pushes away from his desk. He drops the necklace on top of the wooden fixture and grabs one of the weapons on the desk, a mallet. Because it has to be. He whispers to himself, then as fast as possible, before approaching the demon could grab her necklace back. In a flash of light, life returns. Serena and Spike walk side by side, mindlessly around Sunnydale, just talking. Soon, they end up back at the high school, where Serena ended up in the town of the Hellmouth in the first place. You said this is going to work, Spike asked nervously, doubting the previous conversation. If this Buffy is half the girl you told me, she'll melt into a little puddle. Serena reassures, this is my most elaborate plan since Rated Chad! The vampire face turns into confusion. Who? Serena smiles, thinking of the fire scout. This friend's mine. She pauses and looks into the night sky while scouring the twinkling stars. Wish you well, Spike. Hope you get the girl. Mere seconds after the words spill from her mouth, a blinding white light envelops Serena. She knows she's going home. And as the light came, it's gone, along with Serena. Thank you, Sailor Moon. Spike whispers, looking up into the sky. The gaggle of girls in Darien walk around the Jubon shopping center, talking with Buffy. So, vampires actually exist? What do they look like? Are any of them hot? I apologize for my earlier outburst. I've been awake for at least 3 straight weeks. I haven't had any sleep, and I'm probably acting out of character, so I apologize for using words that I would never ever use. The latter of the questions came from Leader, the boy-obsessed one. Well, Her and Mina are both bored at best, but Mina's still in daze. Her princess isn't with her. She feels useless as the leader of the princess's defense system. Okay, you win a point for that Minako scene. Buffy's cheeks flare with embarrassment. Maybe a few, she squeaks, finally admitting the truth about her used-to-be enemy. Lita dog whistles with appreciation. Maybe if I can't find a mortal boy, maybe I should try out the immortal variety. She laughs. Her friends roll her eyes, and Buffy shifts her eyes around comfortably. The group reaches the area of where Buffy came in Japan, but only the Slayer knew that fact. She looks into the sky and knows her stay is just about over. Darian, can I talk to you alone? The girls all look at each other, wondering what Buffy possibly had to say that they couldn't hear. But Darian nods and walks a few paces beyond the scouts. What's up? Before I go back, I wanted to let you know I hope things go back to normal with your Serena. Buffy says in a small voice, hardly looking at the man in front of her. She could only hope she and her newly found love of Spike might end up that devoted to each other. Darius smiles and breaks into a smile. Thank you, Buffy. Without you, I might have permanently broke my Serena's heart. He looks curiously into her hazel eyes and finds something. And I hope wish you luck with that vampire of yours. Buffy's head snaps up and her face flushes. How does he know? Magic, he says simply, his smile broadening. Before either of them continue, a flash of light falls down upon Buffy. The Slayer welcomes the warmth of light and allows herself to be taken back to Sunnydale. Spike's still looking into the sky when another light permeates the night. The first thing he picks up is the familiar smell of Buffy. His heart stops, theoretically, and the next thing he knows, the blood is in his arms, breathing heavily. Slayer, he stops himself. Buffy? He looks up, her hazel eyes meeting his cobalt ones. Spike, she breathes. Without giving either of them enough time to think, she reaches her head up and touches his lips with her own. Spike pulls away, his gaze questioning. What? Buffy just smiles. Shh, she tells him. Just accepts it. And once again, she kisses him. But this time, he kisses her back. Both of them smiles on her faces. Darian was just about to rejoin Serena's friends when another flash of light comes into vision. His heart pounding him tells him one thing. It's his princess. His arms shoot out, and the blonde falls into his arms. The girls gasp and surround the duo. Serena's bright blue eyes open to the dark ones of Darian. Dear? He smiles insensibly and leans down to kiss her. He leaves a butterfly kiss on her lips before his own lips go to her ear. I'm sorry for what I did to you. He whispers, all his emotions channeling into his words. Serena smiles and brings a mouth to her own Darian's ear. I forgive you. And with that, the lovers embrace, kissing with all the passion missing during the breakup. Until Rave coughs loudly, Get a room, you two! And everybody laughs, and the relationship was rekindled. I apologize. Well, okay. Well, that was pretty interesting, but I have something to say for the characters. I apologize for any character being OOC. I hate it when authors do that. It makes me feel bad for when I have to review and then I comment on their OOC-ness. But this is the end of the fic, and by golly, everybody's expecting me to do a small little review, so this fic was decent. Way better than the Sailor Moon one. The She-Ra fanfic I read, way better than Von Doom. It wins points for me for a few reasons. Number one, even though this is the typical Usagi has a fight with Darian and falls into the other world just so we can make an excuse for the crossover cliche that I have begun to despise. It does do something better in that, for one, she's switching places with the main character. Two, this actually is a part of the episode from the actual series itself. So that gives us a chance to see how well that works. Not only that, but it also says what Buffy's doing while she's out of existence. And number three, and this is most important, Usagi doesn't fall in love with any of the cast from this show. Her relationship with Spike, thank God, is totally platonic. She's only there to tell Spike Spikey, get with Buffy. And Buffy's always there just to tell Darian, you're an idiot. The grammar, though you can't see it, is pretty good for the most part. There are several comma splices that could be used for a little touching up and a few spelling errors here and there. And I'm trying to figure out why she added Darian's Japanese name at the end of this. And I am complaining about, and I know she apologized, but I'm still complaining about the OOC-ness without explanation. Ami! You had Ami call a girl a slut! Why? Just why? That ranks right up there with having Fluttershy kick a puppy! That's the equivalent of Pinkie Pie calling somebody an a-hole! That's like having Will say flip everything, I'm going to a bar! Oh god! Just like Cass looking at Dean and going, Dean, I love you. Let's make out. I'll even turn into a woman so we can have babies. Sweet, sweet, merciful angel/hunter babies. Babies. Which is probably the premise of some certain supernatural fanfics. But still, for the most part, Usagi is mostly in character, and I love Spike in this, but then again, I love Spike. And Mama-chan's in character and Buffy is the only ones that are the inners. So I kind of recommend this. Go ahead, people, read this. Have a good laugh. But it's definitely not going to go in my 10 spot. But I think I might just save this. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Maybe I might do Ultimate Power Rangers next, or maybe a Supernatural fanfic. Or maybe, since I'm still in the Buffy mood, the Doctor and Buffy Summers Adventure. Toodles!